Last week on our Nation Sports Show, we started our previews for this year's playoffs in the NBA and the NHL. It continues this week. On Sunday was Game 4 in the opening Western Conference Series between the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers. In the first half, Lakers star player Anthony Davis went out with a groin injury, keeping him out for the rest of the game, and the Suns took full advantage of the opportunity that was given to them because in the second half, at one point, Phoenix held a double-digit lead against LA. They ended up winning the game 100-92. On Tuesday, Game 5, back in Phoenix. Total domination. Total ultimate destruction of the world champions. The Lakers defense was no match for the red-hot Phoenix Suns offense, especially from the three-point line. The Suns defended the champions with excellent execution, winning the game 115-85. Now that the series shifts back to the City of Angels for Game 6. How will the world champions respond? Because last year, in the 2020 playoff bubble, the Lakers never faced the brink of elimination, but now they do. Can LeBron James and his Lakers force the series back to Phoenix for a critical winner-take-all Game number 7? In the Eastern Conference opening round series between the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics, the Nets took care of business, dispatching the Celtics in 5 games. Now, they take on the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Back to the Western Conference we go. The Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trail Blazers had one hell of a basketball game this past Tuesday night. It took double overtime to decide who was going to win the game. Damian Lillard scored 55 points for the Trailblazers, but in the end, Denver won against Portland 147-140 on Wednesday night. Did Philadelphia win their series against Washington in 5 games? Did the top seed in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz, defeat the Memphis Grizzlies in 5 games? Did the Atlanta Hawks crush the New York Knicks playoff dreams in 5 games? And who will have a 3-2 series lead between the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers? In the NHL, the Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders are tied at a game apiece. And Tampa Bay leads their series against Carolina 2-0. Like I said last week, and I'll say it again, all the games matter now. The nation speaks next. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sports. Members of the Busted Up Nation bring to you our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Kevin, the Statman McDonald, Ezra Vickery, and Stephen Wyand.
Welcome everybody to another edition of our Nation Sports Show. Coming at you live here on the YouTube, which is not even going to attempt the link on YouTube. But search our Nation Sports Show on YouTube to go and find us. Also go and find us on Twitter at ON Sports Show. We're also on Facebook at Our Nation Sports Show. Just go search that up. Subscribe. Come on. We're at 61. We're at the Roger Maris number. Need more. Need 39 more. I can do math. So.
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure?
Today I am. Today I'm sure that I can go and do math. Don't ask me about tomorrow. It's a Friday. Who knows? So, I'm going to go and start with the man in the Midwest. Ezra, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good, brother, man. It's going to be crazy show, man. We got a good amount to talk about. Came off Memorial Day weekend, but there's still plenty of news to talk about. We're going to build this show up. Oh, and speaking of build, did you know that I have a fear of intricate buildings? Yeah, I have a complex. Just to let you know, it's going to be my new thing now. I'm going to start off with a dad joke.
Yeah.
I just, well, moving on. You gotta warn a guy first before you do that. Now I'm all like, do you seriously just make like one of the worst dad jokes I've heard in a while?
Oh, trust me, I've got like 100 more. But you were saying?
Guess we're gonna move on. Stars was doing good and apparently, cracking jokes and smiles. Now we're gonna go to the man in North Kakalaki. Steven, how we doing?
What's going on, brothers? Let's do this, man. It's been a wild, crazy week in the playoffs for the NBA and the NHL, and there's been some crazy, storylines in the last couple of days. And let's go.
Oh yeah, it's some crazy stuff, especially up here in Boston, where yesterday, some breaking news out of Boston. Danny Ainge stepping down and retiring as the president of the basketball operation for the Boston Celtics, and Brad Stevens is stepping away from being the head coach of the Celtics and moving into his own role as the president of basketball operations. So this means the Celtics are going to get a brand new head coach. Brad Stevens. Don't know if he'll have player control. Don't know if he'll have the ability to shape the roster. But it does, like I said, it does bring a brand new head coach. There's already numerous names being thrown out there as potential suitors. Juwan Howard is a name. Chauncey Billups has been brought out. Kevin Garnett was a suggestion, and Kevin Garnett has already said no. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't have the aptitude. And his quote, not mine, I'd be hired and fired within the same week if he was the head coach. So one of the other names that I saw was Jason Kidd. I say no. I remember him when I was younger watching the Celtics when it was Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker's show. And he was a Celtic killer. I hated Jason Kidd then. I hate Jason Kidd now. I don't want any part of him at all. But if Jason Tatum goes and says, yep, sure, I want him, I like Jason Kidd, then okay, all aboard, Jason Kidd, let's go. I will go and sell out on my thoughts and feelings if price is right here, guys. So this obviously is a huge shakeup in Boston since Danny Ainge has been here for 20 years. The Celtics have gone to 2 NBA finals, winning 1. They've gone to, I think it was 7 East Conference finals since Danny Ainge has taken over as president of basketball operations. And in the playoffs, more times than I can go and count. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times they've missed the playoffs in the last 20 years. He's made some excellent deals. He got the moniker of Trader Danny up here. He's also made some mistakes. I think the Kyrie Irving trade was a mistake. I did him well in his retirement, obviously. Want to go and play some more golf? We'll play some more golf. Maybe you want to go and have a little bit of fun, or maybe you want to go and play a little bit longer. Go right ahead. But it obviously didn't end too well with how the last couple of seasons have gone. But nothing really does end well. To be honest here. Any thoughts on you guys?
I mean, as far as this whole thing with the Celtics, Kevin, as you know, I'm a Celtics fan, and I think this could be a good thing for Stevenson, but at the same time, he has to find somebody who knows a thing or two about that city, in my opinion, like a Garnett, whatever, because Garnett was there from 2007 to 2013. And Boston, and like you said, in the last several years, has had an up and down stretch because they went to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2018 against the Cleveland Cavaliers and took them to 7 games. And they were on the verge of going to the finals, and they should have went to the finals a couple of that year because Isaiah Thomas, man, especially the previous season, he had such a great season for them. And then having Kyrie, and we thought, oh, he's the answer. And then he turns out, oh, he didn't have a lot of fun in Boston, whatever. And they've had some up and down years. And I hope as a Celtics fan they can find something good to do, in such a negative playoff disappointment. Obviously we saw that coming. Brooklyn was so more dominant compared to Boston. I mean, they had the star players, they had a better supporting cast. The problem with Boston this season is they didn't have enough guys around Jason Tatum that could support him. I mean, they had Kemba Walker, those are your 2 main guys. Then they had Brown, but he was injured. When he went down, that right there ruined the Celtics' chances of making a run, because when you have your 2 main guys and then your main caliber player and Brown on the supporting cast, as far as your main supporting cast player going down with the injury, that right there spelled the doom for the Celtics.
Yeah, no, it did. And with Kyrie, that he was here for a year, and it was an all right year. He was here, 2 years. He was here 2 seasons, and I don't know. That first season was great. I thought it was going to be fantastic, and then the second season it just went off the rails.
Sure did.
Starting to form the super team of Brooklyn.
If I'm
in
not
the middle of the season.
If I'm not mistaken, was the second season the year they went out against Milwaukee in the playoffs that year?
I think so. Let me go and double check that.
I think it was. I think it was like 4 or 5, like 5 games, I want to say. I mean, there was a chance that the Celtics had in a couple of those games, and Milwaukee, because they won the first game. Yeah, it was the first game. They won the first game. I was like, oh, Celtics are here to shock them. And then Milwaukee just went on a blitz and beat them in the next 4 games.
Yeah, I believe, Steven, you're correct. It was the next 4 games. And just double check just to make sure.
I want to say it was the second round.
Yes, that was the 2018-19 season where they lost in the conference semis.
Yep,
4 games to 1 to the Bucks.
I think Boston beat Indiana in the first round.
I believe so. Checking that as well.
And Kevin busy
yes,
already.
They swept Boston. Boston swept Indiana.
Okay. But no, I mean, that's the first season with Kyrie. I mean, it was very promising, like you said. And then the next year, there was a downward spiral from there. And he wanted out and he got out. And ever since Kyrie left, and especially I remember his last press conference with the Celtics, he had this disgruntled look on his face, and just the tone of his voice was like, I don't want to be here, stuff like that. And just, we're like, dude, you're a great player, but when nothing goes your way, you can't just get up and run. I mean, come on. I mean,
no, you can't. You can't just go and leave and the going got tough, so I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to play with other people. It's the same thing that you said about Kevin Durant when he couldn't get it done in Oklahoma City. So
don't even get me going on that again.
Well, this is not even about Durant going to Brooklyn. This is about him leaving Oklahoma City and going to Golden State.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. I mean that run in Golden State was just, I don't even want to act like that existed, because he took the fun out of me for basketball for a couple of years.
No, and it's definitely, Celtics are probably going to be coming up on a few years where there's a little bit of upheaval, because I really don't see Brad Stevens staying in this for a long term. I mean, isn't it funny how Mike, Coach K, I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce his last name because I'm always going to butcher that for the rest of the time.
Krzyzewski. Yeah.
So,
yeah, Coach K.
Same day that Danny Ainge says, I'm out, I'm retiring, Brad Stevens gets promoted. Now Coach K is retiring from Duke, but he's going to get a year tour, which Like, if you're gonna retire, just retire right there. Don't do this whole year tour because
Why the-
hooray, pat
No,
on the back, pat on the back. We
He's
get
he's
it, we
become
get it.
he's
It's
becoming the
self-serving.
kid. He's becoming the Kiss of college basketball.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, come on. I'm a Duke Blue Devils diehard fan. Why does Coach K need to do a tour of this nonsensical BS? I mean, he's already had a hell of a Hall of Fame career as a coach for Duke. All those years winning those championships and being in the Final Four and winning all those ACC tournaments. I mean, give me a freaking break. I mean, he has nothing left to prove.
No, he really doesn't. And again, it for him, and it's funny because I remember Derek Jeter's last year tour and Mariano Rivera, and David Ortiz. They had these little tours in their final year of playing, and each ballpark in the last time that they played in them, they were able to go and give them this or give them this gift. But with Coach K, for some reason, I'm looking at him like, dude, you're such a self-serving egomaniac,
Right.
And I'm sorry, Steven, I can't stand Duke.
No. Oh, I get it.
I'm not a big college basketball person, but I just know F Duke. Can't do it. And Rick Pitino. Those are like the two that I just can't stand.
Oh, dear God,
entirely.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
look,
Him as well.
one of the names on the list for Celtics coaches was Rick Pitino. I'm like, they tried that once. He ruined the Celtics. No thanks. I'm good.
Not only that, but look at his track record across professional and college basketball. I mean, the guy's track record is not great. I mean, yeah, he's won a championship or so, but he's not a great leader as far as a head coach.
No, he's not. He's really not. As a funny and quick aside, up here in Boston, we got 98.5 The Sports Hub. There's two competing FM sports talk radio channels, 98.5 The Sports Hub, like I said, and 93.7 WEI. So on 98.5 The Sports Hub, the Tucker and Rich show in the mornings, they had an interview with Rick Pitino. Fred Toucher starts the interview, says, hello, good morning, Rick. How are you doing? Rick says, I'm good. How about you guys? And Toucher goes, you stink. You ruined the Celtics, and hung up the phone. It was radio gold. He got massive criticism for that because, that is kind of an unprofessional look, and I understand. But at the same time, that was awesome to go and hear. I could not stop laughing when I heard that he did that because at the time I worked nights.
Amazing.
For me to get up at 6 a.m. at the time. So, yeah, no, I'm good with not having Rick Pitino anywhere near the Celtics. But to go back to Duke, all of a sudden those two news items show up, and I'm like, I'm a little curious as to why all of a sudden Duke's Coach K is retiring is going to retire in a year on the same day that Brad Stevens is being promoted. And I'm like, okay. So in a year, when the Duke job opens up, is Brad Stevens going to jump ship and go and coach Duke?
Right. I mean, the Celtics, they had their run with Brad as the coach, and Brad wants to be the guy running the office and all this stuff. Well, if that's the case, it's time to put on your big boy pants and put on your big boy shoes and really step up and be a man and hire the man that could be the head coach, that can be the leader of that team. Because it seems to me that Kyrie and some of the players that are so disgruntled with Stevenson, as the coach, that's what it seems to me, at times, especially when Kyrie was there. I mean, there had to be a reason why he left.
Well, I mean, I think he just didn't want to go and play up here.
Yeah. And not only that, but as well as I do, us Boston Celtics fans and you up there, especially Boston fans, they are relentless when it comes to their teams. They are so passionate about their teams.
I currently have on my TV NBC Sports. I forget the name of the channel. I'm waiting for the Bruins Islanders game 3 tonight. That starts at 7:30. Puck drop's probably going to be about 7:40, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple of moments during the game where you're going to see me start jumping around, cheering, or It might be a couple of moments where I'm a little upset, depending upon how it goes. I mean, the other night watching watching game 2, what was that? Monday night. They went to overtime, and I see Jeremy Lozon go and make a cross-ice pass with 4 Islanders in the way. No look either. He didn't even look. He just made the pass, and boom, they scored. And they beat us in overtime.
No surprise. Pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
but this isn't a segue into the NHL. It was just a quick little thing about Boston sports. We're very passionate up here. You have a lot of players. The ones I can remember the most recently are Adrian Gonzalez. For years, played for the Padres.
yes.
He was a little bit of in the land of obscurity, and then he got traded up here. He signed up here. I can't remember which at this point, since it was 10 years ago now. And he hated it here because the Boston media was overly critical to him. It's like, well, no, it's because you're not used to it up here. We go and ask the tough questions. We go and think the tough things. So yeah, I understand that the questions may be a little tough. Oh, it might be a little too much to shut up, play baseball, answer the questions. We're passionate bunch up here.
Right.
So Ezra, you got any thoughts about the Celtics stuff before we move on to other topics in the NBA?
Well, a lot of times I have no thoughts, but usually I do. But no, seriously though, I have my thoughts are on this whole situation. Danny Ainge has been a fixture of the Celtics, like you said, the past 20 years. He's done some great things, he's done some bad things, but overall, I give him an overall like middle spot as far as the grade goes, because you can't really say nothing bad about him too much as far as his decision making. And like anybody in an executive position in office, you're going to make good decisions, you're going to make bad decisions.
Yep.
And yet, yes, while it can affect the team and the performance, it's all part of the building blocks of the team going through adversity. And sometimes that shit happens. So, I mean, Danny Ainge is prolific. He, deserves this retirement for getting them to, like you said 2 NBA Finals appearances.
Yes, in 2008 and 2010, and winning the championship in 2008 against the Lakers.
Yeah, so he's done his job, and then you said 7 Eastern Conference Finals. That's pretty damn good for a guy who's been sitting in office for 20 years making those decisions. I think it's time for him to enjoy his retirement. 20 years is a long time. As far as Brad Stevens goes, like you said, he's really going to have to step up. He's really going to have to really show that he's worth the position that he's going to be in. He's going to have to really make smart decisions his first couple years and really show that, hey, I can do this. Because if he don't, they'll kick him out easily. They'll put him back down somewhere else, and then they'll have somebody else take his spot who's more reliable. In tune. Reliable and valuable and in tune to that position. Now, as far as the head coach is concerned, you got to have somebody who knows the city. You got to have somebody who knows the system. I mean, you can get anybody outside there, and they'll learn the plays, they'll learn the system and how it works over there in Boston. But it would be easier if you had somebody who knew how the Boston Celtics play, who knew how they tick. If you had somebody like that, it would be an easier find. But the question is how qualified are they going to be able to step up into that position as a head coach? Because it's a lot different than playing on the court compared to standing on the sidelines, giving out plays and all the other statistics in basketball. Excuse me. So as far as that goes, it's going to be interesting to see who gets it. I mean, Garnett. While Garnett would be interesting, like you said, he probably with his I wouldn't say attitude, but just with his passion and everything, I think he would get himself fired personally, because he's so passionate and so tough about the game. I would expect him to get into a fist fight with the other head coach in the first couple games of the season.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's Kevin Garnett. I remember when I first heard him say to Carmelo Anthony on the court, your wife tastes like Honey Nut Cheerios. I was dying laughing when I heard about that. And Kevin Garnett is one of the best trash talkers in the NBA.
Okay, Kevin, refresh my memory. When did he say this?
This obviously was back in his playing days. I can't remember exactly when it was said. I want to say I think it was when he was a Celtic, but I'm not positive about that.
That is hilarious.
I know that there are so many other things that he's gone and said over the course of his career. I think there was one player who he had apoplegia, which is you're unable to go and grow hair.
It was Kevin. It was 2013 when he said that.
2013. Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Ezra. But I think there was a player with apoplegia that he went and called like a bald bitch or something, or like Kevin Garnett gave no Fs, none whatsoever.
None.
He just was like, nope, I don't care if you've got this, that, or the other. I'm gonna use it against you on the court.
Yep.
There's no nonsense type of deal. I love it. I still remember fondly 2007, 2008 season of the Celtics. Going from worst to winning the championship, getting banner 17. Hopefully we can get banner 18 soon. Hopefully. But we'll see. Best of luck to Danny in his retirement. Best of luck to Brad Stevens in his new job. And I guess mazel tov to Coach K.
Yeah.
So another NBA news. We have, like I said in the intro, playoff brackets pretty much coming into focus. We got 2 games tonight, 1 tomorrow. Tonight we have the number 3 Denver Nuggets traveling to the number 6 Portland Trail Blazers. Denver has a 3-2 series lead. And the number 2 Phoenix Suns face the number 7 LA Lakers. Phoenix has a 3 games to 2 lead. Tomorrow night, the LA Clippers, number 4 seed, faces the number 5 Dallas Mavericks. Dallas has a 3 games to 2 lead, which brings me to, I guess we should probably go and take care of the elephant in the room, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers, who a year ago, y'all remember, won it all. They won the NBA title. And now they're 1 game away from being ousted in the first round. So,
who would have thunk it?
I would not have thought that would happen because it's LeBron James. I figured he would have turned it on in the playoffs. But when you get poked in the eye, it's a very serious injury. One that leaves you laying on the floor for, minutes at a time. Your shoulder, when nobody's looking at you, your shoulder just starts to hurt. I get it. It happens to me at my job too when, kids aren't paying attention to what they're doing. I just pop the shoulder out the socket. Just go, oh no, look, my shoulder's gone. Oh no.
Oh no.
You're going to have to go and sweep up your mess, kid. I'm sorry. There's also days of the other job where, you know what? I got like a half hour left. I'll just go and leave. Whatever. I got this in the bag. Game's over anyway. LeBron's a loser.
Oh my
I've
God.
always felt he was a loser.
I mean, the fact that last year there was a top seed in the Western Conference playoffs. They did not trail in the playoff bubble at all, facing the brink of elimination, like I said in the intro. And now they are 1 game away, like you said, from being eliminated from the playoffs. And not only that, but the fact that they go from number 1 all the way down to basically almost the 8th seed, and they almost missed the playoffs entirely. I mean, because of the new play-in rule and all that. And number 7 seeded, you figured, they have a chance because they have LeBron. Well, Anthony Davis went down with that injury in game number 4, and that right there was a huge injury for the Lakers because Phoenix took full advantage of the opportunity that was given to them on a silver platter. I mean, at one point they had a double-digit lead against the Lakers, and they ended up winning the game by 8 points. And then Game 5, you figure, and then LeBron said at the end of that, oh, we'll turn it back on. Game 5, we got to be better. Game 5, they got ran out of the damn gym by 30 points. At one point, they were down by like 32, 34, whatever it was. And LeBron said at the end of the game, we got our ass beat. You damn right you did. You got the living crap kicked out of you by a team that is more hungry than you are, because last year you won the championship. And this right here is a proven fact that LeBron James thinks not like the late, great Kobe Bryant used to think. Because when LA won the championship in 2000 against Indiana in 6 games, Kobe was on the court in the summer of 2000, working his ass off, getting better at his game, and not taking time off because they won a championship. Hey, I want to get better as a player. I want to be a better leader. LeBron's won his 4th championship with the Lakers, his 3rd team already. And the fact that I think that he's taken this for granted, it's about to bite him in the ass, because the fact that he thinks that he can turn it on and off whenever he wants. But that's not how it works, my friend, because you have competition in the Western Conference that is willing to take you down, like the Suns, like the Jazz, like the Mavericks, those teams like that. Shit, like the Nuggets or the Blazers. I mean, there's teams in the West that are willing to take them out because they're hungry. Now the Clippers are a different story, but we'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah.
But tonight is a huge game for the Lakers. They have to win this game.
Well, the other thing is Anthony Davis. 20 years ago, you're right. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, they'd be out there. They'd be out there playing. Somebody went and posted a picture earlier this week, a little meme that showed Kobe and Michael Jordan, and said, these two didn't want you to know they were hurt. LeBron James wants you to know that he's hurt. And it just shows the stark difference between most players now and players back 20, 30 years ago, where they don't want you to, 20, 30 years ago, they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that, there was something going on with them. They went out there and they played their ass off.
Right. I mean,
nowadays, you got Anthony Davis. 20 years ago, when Anthony Davis type of player would go and say, yeah, I'm going to be out there playing tonight. Instead, you get Anthony Davis go, I'm going to practice, but it's up to the doctors. No, moron, it's up to you.
It's up to you. If you feel like you can go. I mean, look at the athletes that have had concussions or athletes that have had injuries in game. When they said, don't go out there, no, screw you. I'm going back out there on the football field, the diamond, the basketball court, the ice, whatever. These athletes back then had the testicular fortitude to play through a nagging injury. I mean, for God's sakes, Kobe's last championship, his 5th championship in 2010 against the Celtics, he had a whole bunch of injuries and still played through those injuries.
Well, it's like I still remember very fondly years ago the 2013 Stanley Cup final between my Boston Bruins and the Chicago Blackhawks. And at the end of Game 6 and at the end of the Stanley Cup Finals and the playoff series in the NHL, you're going to find out what players had what going on. And it's almost like a compare and contrast of who had it bad worse. And then Patrice Bergeron comes out. You hear people saying, oh, I played with a slight tear in a meniscus. Oh, I went and played with this. And then Patrice Bergeron comes out and says, I played with a punctured lung and I would have played Game 7. That's just the difference between hockey players and any other player in pro sports. They just go out there and play. And to let you know if they lose, yeah, no, I played with this. I thought I did all right. I might not have done all that well. Ezra, what about you? What's your thoughts on LeBron?
5 letters. BITCH. Here's the thing about LeBron. I've had my issues with LeBron James for a number of years. And that is because his consistency of flopping. The man has shown he gets hit by a ghost and acts like he gets hit by a semi tractor trailer. It's ridiculous how much flopping, especially in the NBA and even other sports. You've seen it in soccer. You've seen it. How much that has become the norm. LeBron's done it so much that dude should have 15 Academy Awards for Best Actor. Pete's sakes. But the Lakers really need to step up tonight. And I'm not just talking about LeBron. I'm talking about the entire team. We've learned in the past from many different teams in these big-time situations, you cannot rely on one player. The Bulls didn't just rely on Michael Jordan. The Celtics didn't just rely on Kevin Garnett. The freaking Lakers in the past didn't just rely on Kobe. While, yes, they scored high points, 30, 40 points a game, the other teams had the other members of the team, the bench, and the other starters had even scoring. This, however, that's the problem, is because when Anthony Davis went down, it was just LeBron. It's like LeBron and company. That's what it basically is. That whole team needs to produce tonight, or otherwise they're going to be packing their bags and staying home in LA for the rest of the season. I think LeBron may show a little more fire tonight, knowing the pressure situations, because LeBron has done this in the past where they've gone down a couple games and then they turned it up. And LeBron has turned it up and helped to propel them to another win and get them back into contention. But I just don't know. I just think this is pretty much the end of the Lakers for the season. I think they're going to lose tonight.
And who's to say that LeBron after this season, if they more than likely they're going to lose against Phoenix? I mean, Phoenix is a far better team than LA is this year. Who's to say that LeBron's going to go, screw you, I'm leaving for the fourth freaking time?
That's actually something that me and a couple of my buddies discussed at work actually last night, was about the fact, I know LeBron just recently had a contract extension done for him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But he's got so much pull in the NBA because of how, quote unquote, great he is and how much of a popular figure he is. He can get himself out of that contract with ease and get himself to another team if he wants. I just don't know if he loses, is this going to cause him to say, you know what, I've won a championship for this team, I'm done, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Exactly.
But if he does, that just proves that he has no loyalty. That proves that he has no loyalty to any city that he plays for. So if you end up getting LeBron, you better win a championship or two.
You better, because if you don't, he's going to bail on your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, look at 2010. I mean, Kevin knows this as well as I do. When Boston took on Cleveland in the Eastern Conference semifinals, that was one of the most glorious ass beatings in Cleveland in game number 5, 120-88. It was that bad. They booed LeBron off of their home court. And then in game 6, Boston played a spectacular game and won that game by double digits. LeBron had all those points, all those assists, and all those rebounds, but he also had all those careless turnovers. I think he had like 9 or 10 turnovers. And then at the end of the game, obviously, he took off the jersey. So that signified that he was leaving. And I know Kevin also remembered this too in 2008 in the NBA Finals in game number 4. When the Lakers went up by 24, we thought, oh, the game is over. Well, Boston said, nuh-uh, not so fast. And they came back and kept on chipping away, and they ended up winning the game because they took their time. They didn't fold. They didn't give up.
Oh, and the one thing that bothers me more than anything is something that Kevin, you and I talked about before we started the live stream tonight. 5 minutes left. He walks off the court, leaves.
Oh yeah.
Do you realize how this? Do you realize how this was?
That he wants to stretch or whatever the excuse was. Again, like I said, he's a loser. Go on,
do you realize how disrespectful that is to your team? Do you realize how disrespectful that is to the city that you're playing for? All because I got to stretch, or we're already losing. That's no fucking excuse. Right. It doesn't matter if you're down by 1 or you're down by 50. You still go out there. You play your hardest from the first whistle to the final whistle. You don't leave with 5 minutes left. That shows you right there that you don't respect your fellow teammates. You don't respect your coach. You sure as hell don't respect the fans that you're playing for, whether they're at home or in the arena. To me, that's a bitch move, and I will say that wholeheartedly.
It's a huge bitch move. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, the fact that guy walks off the court. I was listening to the game on the LA Lakers feed on SiriusXM on the app, on my speaker. And I was like, what the hell is he doing? Why aren't you leaving the game? There's still 5 minutes left to go in the game. I mean, I wasn't going to kill him in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Magic when he left when the game was over. I get it. You're upset. You were, close to getting to the finals. I'm not going to kill you for that. But after that, the countless times that he has done it against the Nuggets, and all those other teams that he's done it with, I can't even remember because it's such a track record that he's done this. When LeBron doesn't get his way, he complains. And the one thing I am sick with this guy is the fact that he sits there and he thinks he can talk any game, politics, and all this other stuff. Dude, you are not a politician. Leave that up to the politicians. You're a basketball player. You make a shit ton of money. So play the game, play it smartly, and don't do nothing stupid. I mean, LeBron is such a credible athlete on the court. He is so talented, but at the same time, he can be such a freaking pain. I mean, come on. I mean, when you walk off the court with 5 minutes left to go in the game, like you said, Ezra, and like Kevin has said, you are disrespecting your entire organization that you signed with. In his first year with the Lakers, when Kobe was still alive, the fans bombarded LeBron with hate because the moment he signed with Los Angeles, he had that target on his back, and it's a huge target. And I'm telling you, fellas, you can mark it down. Today, it is June the 3rd, 2021. If LeBron James leaves the City of Angels and leaves a fourth team, or third team, sorry. If he leaves his third team behind and goes to a fourth team, that right there is not going to look good on his track record, because he reminds me of that front man or that guitar player that's such a pain in the ass that he's acting like a diva. And I wish that he would stop it. And I have a love-hate relationship with this guy. I like his play. The one time I was cheering for him was when the Cavaliers beat the Warriors in those 7-game series. I'm like, come on, for once, LeBron beat the Warriors. I couldn't stand Golden State because of their attitude. But no, like we've been saying, it's a huge game tonight for the Lakers against Phoenix. It's put up or shut up. You said it on Tuesday night. We got our asses beat. Yes, you did. Well, we need to get better. You said that. Now go out there and do it. You got 48 minutes to do it.
Kevin, before you continue, just want to let you know, we were talking about the NBA Finals. Let you know a quick little note that Serge Ibaka is unlikely to return for Game 6 of the Clippers Dallas Mavericks series.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that's loss.
Big. And remind me, he's plays for the Clippers now, right? Since he played for a little team himself.
Yeah.
So, oh wow. Quick aside, the game puck dropped. And I don't know if the Nassau Coliseum is really that rowdy right now, or if the NBC cameras just weren't that great. Looked like the camera was rocking quite a bit. I would imagine that the crowd is going to be pretty raucous tonight, though.
Oh yeah, I imagine so. This is a big, huge. It's a big game. I mean,
it's a pivotal game because whoever wins this one is probably going to get control of the series itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
now you had some notes about the Clippers. You said.
Yeah, I think Steven.
You want to say something about the Clippers?
Yes, man. So we're talking about this series last night, game number 5 in Los Angeles. That was a wild game. Luka Doncic scored 42 points. The guy was unstoppable. He is one of the best point guards in the NBA right now. And Porzingis had a really strong game, hitting that critical 3 to put him up by 10 in the fourth quarter. But the biggest story to me in last night's game was Kawhi Leonard. He did not do so well from the 3-point line. He was 1 for 7. And on that last 3 he shot, or the last couple of threes he was shooting, he was hesitating. And you cannot do that. Because as a shooter, if you hesitate and shoot the ball, more than likely you're not going to make the shot because you're not shooting in the rhythm. If he would have shot those shots in rhythm, who knows? Maybe they would have gone down. But LA made the push to get back into the game. And they couldn't make the bounce. They didn't get the proper bounces. In that fourth quarter, they were down by 1 at one point, And I was like, this is getting interesting. And then one of the players caught the pass. Batum caught the pass. He's like, oh shit, this is coming to me. And then he shoots it so quickly, shocked that he was getting the ball, and he missed a shot. And then the ball was loose, and then Hardaway came down with the ball and shot his free throws, made the free throws, and then Kawhi missed that three that had a chance to tie the game, and that didn't happen. But I pose this question to you guys right here. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are the star players for the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi and Paul George came to LA for a reason. Kawhi came to Los Angeles for a reason because, for one, that's his home state in California. He wants to win another championship with California, this time in his home state in California. He brought PG-13 with him. If this is another season when the Clippers, if they don't make it to the playoffs, the conference finals at all, or even to the finals if they don't, because if they lose tomorrow night, their season's over, obviously, in 6 games. If this happens tomorrow and they lose the game, do you think that the Clippers roster, as we know, as far as their star caliber players, are going to be split?
In a few seasons, and it is. They play in the Western Conference, which I know is a very tightly contested conference out there.
Yep.
It's not like the East where you'll have a 500 or worse team make the playoffs. You hardly ever go and see it on sub 500 team.
Yeah.
That's very competitive out there. I would say after a few seasons, it might be a little early to go and bust up the team, split up players. I'd probably go and give another season, especially, it is still a COVID season this year. It was a COVID end to the season last year. I'd still give it a little bit of time, though I've always been a little bit more patient than other sports fans. I'm more apt to give the time.
Right.
I'm more apt to go and give the time for something to succeed eventually. But that does wear a little thin. And in the sports world, it's more of a win now. And if you don't win now, we'll get rid of you to win now with other people.
Yep.
It's all about you have to produce now. You can. That's a problem is in sports. They want now. They don't want to wait.
What have you done for me lately?
Do you know what they always say? Patience is a virtue. And to me, that's something that should be followed more in sports. If I was looking at the score box for the game, and overall, outside of Nicholas Batum only getting 10 and Morris only getting 16, the scoring on the starters was pretty even. If you look at Jackson had 20, George had 23, and Leonard had 20. If the other starters would have made all the starters would have made the critical shots, I think it would have been in the overtime, and they could have maybe won it.
Maybe.
To me, I think the team gels well from the few games that I did see, because I don't have MLB, whatever the package is. I don't know anymore because there's too many of them to remember.
Yeah, there's MLB's package, there's the NBA.
Yeah,
Pass.
I think it's like League Pass.
League Pass. Yeah, there's the NBA.
Yeah, I don't have
Pass.
League Pass, so I'm not able to watch all the games all the time. But from what I can see, it's a very well gelled team, and I think that if you give them another season or two to kind of see where they're at, look, the Clippers made it this far for a reason, because they have a good team. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no.
To me, I think I agree with Kevin. It's too early to break them up. I think maybe you can make some rotations. Maybe if anything, you change it on the bench side of these. Maybe get a couple more support players who could maybe add a little bit more. Maybe add a little bit more on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
The reason why I'm asking this question is because you know how sports fans are these days. What have you done for me lately? You haven't done nothing. Well, then break it up. Sports fans are very impatient these days.
Absolutely.
New York Jets fans with Sam Darnold.
What? Right. Would I break it up? No. Give it some time to build.
No. I agree 1,000%, man. I mean, real quick before we get more into Clippers stuff. First off, I got to say, yeah, definitely about Doncic. That dude was a beast. He had a double-double, 42, 14, and 8. Almost had a triple-double. That's insane. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 20, had 22 and 7. He almost had a double-double himself. Porzingis Porzingis is out. Porzingis did pretty good. It's a lot of the scoring was even across the bench, according to the box score. I have to say though, the Mavs have been on a roll, man. That team has just been. They've been firing on all cylinders, and while it's still it's a 3-2 lead. There's still a chance for the Clippers to pull it together and bring this to a game 7. I'm not counting the Clippers out by any stretch of the imagination, especially when you got that firepower of Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. You can't help with those two being on the court and being those high scores. I could see easily this going to a game 7.
And honestly, guys, between the Clippers and the Lakers at this point, if you told me to flip a coin, who am I picking? I'm picking the Clippers right away to force a game 7. The Lakers do not stand a chance in hell to force a game 7 against Phoenix because Phoenix has them scouted really well. Their defensive schemes in game 5 were so tremendously executed with precision. And the fact that the Clippers had the 2 caliber star players that are hot shooters, when they get hot, they can scorch you from the court.
Okay, quick aside, score update. Boston Bruins now have a 1-0 lead. It looks like the goal is going to be credited to a returning Craig Smith for the Boston Bruins. Taylor Hall fed it. Grizzlick, I believe, is 48. Can't remember. Hall back to Smith. Oh, beautiful top shelf. Beautiful top shelf over the left glove of Selman Varlamov of the New York Islanders. 1-0 Bruins at 5:52 in the first period. Okay. On the Bruins' second shot of the game, too. So this is the type of fun stuff that you go and get on a live show is live reactions. I'm like silently letting Steven finish up his thought, silently fist pumping so that way I'm not like screaming into the mic. So, anybody got any other NBA news they want to go and talk about? Or are we free and clear to segue in?
I think that we need to talk about the destruction in the playoffs. They had a good season, a good Cinderella story, but it came to an end. That is the New York Knicks. They did not look good in these last couple of games against the Hawks.
Oh, I forgot about the Knicks. Almost like they, once again, great regular season, but crappy in the playoffs. I forgot about that.
Who would have fought number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, and it came crashing down.
We know our good buddy John Blaine right now is currently crying in his bedroom, weeping uncontrollably.
Yep.
By the way, we love you, Johnny.
Yes, we do. I gotta love Trae Young a little bit because that guy is one hell of a little weasel, one hell of an a-hole. Drains a game-clinching shot and goes and bows to the crowd. Like, this dude's got ice in his veins, and I love it. Oh, this is great.
Dude, that's just part of the game, man. I love it. I love when players do stuff like that. It could seem like a dick move, but in the end, it's all about the adrenaline flow. When you're out there, sometimes your body does things that you don't even realize until you make it. He had to do what he had to do to stamp and say, hey, we're here. Fuck you. We're doing this. You're gone. Bye-bye. But before we get into the NHL, before we get into the story I know you and I want to talk about, which is we'll leave it as the hit. Yeah. Do you mind if I go into a couple quick UFC notes?
Yeah, certainly. Because I also quick little add-on to the show. I forgot about it. I want to go and discuss the Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul, Ryan Paul douche nozzle rules. I want to discuss this and just like what are we doing with these rules? So yeah, go with the UFC news.
Okay, that's fine. This is basically like a live version of Cage Fight Chronicles. So thank you, episode 2. No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, some big news came out. Dana White had an interview with Sports Illustrated the other day, and he announced that the Ultimate Fighter is back. That's right. On ESPN Plus, it will be. It's called The Return of the Ultimate Fighter. The coaches for this season will be number 2 ranked middleweight Alexander Volkanovski and Eddie Ortega. Of course, them two, as you know, Ultimate Fighter, they fight later on a big fight card, but they will be coaches, and they will be coaching middleweights and bantamweights this season for them to earn, of course, the 6-figure UFC contract and of course, a spot on an upcoming big card on ESPN. So that's going to be good to have the Ultimate Fighter back. You can catch it on ESPN Plus if you have it. Another big news, this is more of a congratulations, and that is the former UFC flyweight champion and bantamweight champion, Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo showed on Instagram the other day that not only he is now engaged, but he is also expecting his first kid too. So congratulations to Henry Cejudo on that. Another big, a little quick note was that they have officially announced. This is kind of more towards the boxing route, which I know you want to talk about Logan Paul, but this is about former UFC welterweight championship contender Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul have announced that they will have a boxing match coming up soon. It'll be on Showtime, but the date and the location are to be determined at this time. That's not set in stone yet. It was just announced a couple days ago through MMA Junkie that was set to happen. But outside of that, we got, of course, the big UFC 263 coming up here in a couple of weeks, June 12th, actually. I'm looking forward to that whole card, but of course, my main matchup on the card is not even the main event. We have 2 title matches. I'm looking forward to the third match on the card. And that is the return of Nate Diaz to the UFC. The controversial brother of Nick comes back. He's taking on 20-1 Leon Edwards.
That should be an excellent fight.
Oh, dude. And you know Nate Diaz, he's already been, I've already seen his Twitter. He's already been trash talking. He's already been.
Nate Diaz is one badass SOB. Man, that guy, like the song by Megadeth goes, take no prisoners, take no shit. I mean, that guy is such a badass. He knows what he's doing inside of the octagon. And I'm telling you, man, if I'm a betting man, another other guy, he's 20-0 or 21, excuse me. My money is on Diaz, man, because Nate, he's one scrappy dude.
Absolutely. Nate Diaz is that type of fighter. He loves to get down and dirty. He can take you on the ground. He can strike you out. I mean, come on. His brother, Nick, is one of the best boxers that has been one of the best boxers in MMA because of his style. Because Nick Diaz, while he learned the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu style, he was also known as a prolific boxer in MMA because his boxing was so crisp and so precise. And that's where that comes in with Nate as well. So, and Nate Diaz is, you know, Nate Diaz and how that crazy that motherfucker can get. He can you can hit him and he'll flip you off, tell you, come on, bitch, come get me.
Right.
So, you know, controversy ensues when a Diaz gets on a fight card. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But
this should be an excellent fight.
Got 2 title fights coming up. I believe a middleweight and a bantamweight title fight on that card as well. So it's going to be and also coming back, also to me, the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter since Royce Gracie, Damian Maia, will be coming back as well. To me, like I said, that dude, you want to talk about a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wizard in MMA, Damian Maia is it. That dude, he can choke you out from any position. He can choke you out standing. He can choke you out on your back, on your side, this, that, your sister's ass, whatever. That dude can get you. And to me, he's the most prolific Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in UFC's history. And it's going to be interesting to see how he looks coming back after some time off. I know that for a fact, same thing with Diaz. But that's enough of my UFC spiel. Now, Kevin, I believe you have something to say about the Logan Paul Floyd Money Mayweather fight.
Yes, I'm glad that you decided to just jump right into that one. We'll cover this quickly because the fight's in a few days. We can obviously cover it more in depth next week.
Yep.
So they're fighting Sunday night. Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. The rules are going to be similar to the Mike Tyson Boy Jones Jr. fight from last fall. It's an exhibition bout. So the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation won't actually be overseeing the matchup, although they will lend a referee to serve as the third man in the ring this weekend. They will wear 12-ounce gloves, no headgear, and the bout will take place over 8 3-minute-long rounds. The other interesting little bit, no winner will be declared at the end of the contest, though knockouts are not prohibited, and the referee retains the discretion to stop the contest at any time. So, with that said, how much money would you put on a bet that Logan Paul gets knocked out?
Dude. Okay. First of all, I understand we have to discuss this, but why are we discussing this? Come on.
Because it's technically in the world of sports.
I know Logan Paul does have a fighting chance, and I will give him that. I mean, but there is a difference. There is a difference between a Nate Robinson and a Floyd Money Mayweather. Nate Robinson is a basketball player who decided to throw on some gloves and say, "Hey, I'll fight for money. Watch me get my ass knocked out so far. My ghost is floating above my bed right now." But
I swear, I think he's still asleep out there.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's currently still flat out. I think he's flat out right now in the AEW ring. They're going to sweep him out before Dynamite starts tomorrow. But anyways, listen. There's a difference between Nate Robinson, a basketball player who decided to put on gloves and fight, versus an undefeated boxing legend, versus a guy whose footwork is undeniable. A guy who knows how to bait his opponent in, make him tired, make him work, and then knock his ass out if needed. Floyd to me is going to knock Logan Paul out if he gets the opportunity. While he's not going to rush into it, he's going to do what he always does. He's going to use his footwork. He's going to dance around. He's going to throw little jabs and some short shots here and there, and make Paul chase him. It's going to tire him out in the later rounds, and then bam, Floyd strikes, game over, bitch. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all it's going to be. Floyd, the amount of fight highlights I've gone and seen of his, he is. Sorry. Sorry, I was watching a high stick penalty in the game. Live playoff games, man. Oh, and that's a pretty halfway decent sell job too by Zajac of the Islanders, but whatever. Only a 2-minute power play, didn't draw blood, high sticking at 11:08 in the period. Brad Marchand serving the minor for that. Again, live radio, live on YouTube, and I'm gonna go call this game.
Speaking of calling, I'm calling this right now. Like Ezra just said, if any given point, Floyd Money Mayweather will knock out Paul if he has an opportunity. He will do it. I know he will do it because Floyd cannot have that tarnish on his legacy that I got knocked out or got beat by Logan Paul. No way.
No. And Floyd's got to fight smart. He's not going to go in there and try to blast him in the first round. Like I said, he's going to do what he always does. The thing that's gotten him to an undefeated 40-something record.
Yep. No, he's going to borrow a movie quote. He's going to use the 5 Ds dodgeball. Dip, duck, dive. No.
Duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge.
Yep. There we go. Thank you. Ugh, it's been a while since I watched dodgeball. He's going to do that. And then at the end of it, he's going to be fine. Because he's going to see Logan Paul's getting tired because Logan Paul's not going to have the strategy to not just throw down and deliver haymakers the entire time, looking for the one for the knockout artist shot. But it's pretty much to me it's a foregone conclusion. Floyd Mayweather is winning this fight. So I think we've covered this fight enough. We can go and give it its 5 minutes of glory next week. And we're going to move on because this game is mesmerizing. And, oh, God. Bruins are playing. One of the defensemen's got a broken stick. Oh, that's a lucky whiff.
Oh,
And
wait.
you guys can tell I'm a massive Bruins fan.
Yes. And I actually got one more quick UFC note. Just a
Yes.
fight just announced earlier today. And this is a fight I'm excited for. 17-8 Max Griffin will meet one of my favorite fighters, the natural-born killer, Carlos Condit, at UFC 264, which will take place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada on, why don't you have a date? Oh, July 10th. But yeah, that's going to be a good fight, I think, personally. Max Griffin, I've only seen a couple of fights of his in the previous, and he's pretty good. But Carlos Condit, I know that dude. I've been watching that dude since he first debuted in the UFC. That dude's name says it all. But where we go from here, Mr. Statman?
I think tonight we can call me Mr. Host. So
I'm sorry, but I will not do that.
all right, fine with me.
Nah, you're the host. You are the host, but I still call you Statman because that's your name, buddy.
I'm hoping that can change one day. Just because I don't know, Statman just like, oh, this is a roll off the tongue as well as I did it first.
Well, not only that, the people think you're one of those typical stat people.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. Is I'm the farthest thing from being one of those stat nerds, where it's, like boss, it's all about, the hitting the home run ball, and yeah, strikeouts are going to be up a little bit, but the home run ball is what the players want. The analytics go and show that the numbers, when you add them up and divide it by 2, this player is good for it. No, it really should be, like, when it comes to baseball strategy, it should be about trying to go and get on base as often as you possibly can. And
ladies and gentlemen, all I got to do is mention stat nerds or stat people, and this guy goes off on a tangent.
Oh yeah,
It never fails.
No, it never does. And the other part to it is it's not just with baseball. I feel that baseball is a lost cause at this point. It is what it is. And until the day that no longer goes and works, we're just going to have to deal with analytical people who are never going to play the game, infiltrating the game, and making it about numbers. Oh, excuse me. Football's kind of getting there. You see all these next-gen stats, like in baseball, exit velocity. I grew up watching baseball. I didn't care about what the exit velocity is, the launch angle of the ball. I didn't care. I don't think a lot of players cared about that back in the day. They probably cared more about the fact that, did I win? Did we win? Did the team win? You're kind of seeing that a little bit in hockey. You're seeing that a little bit in football. You're seeing a little bit of basketball. I think I'm going to say something that might be controversial to some people. I know that we're supposed to, in 2021, be non-judgmental and inclusive of everybody. But I think when it comes to sports, leave the super analytical ones that, wheeze when they walk up a flight of stairs because, oh my God, this is just so much. This is way too much work on my body. My body can't handle this. I'm sorry. Leave them to the banking jobs, please. Let the sport jocks be the ones to go and dictate what sports should do. It's, like, for the love of God. Well, enough about stat nerds because then the show will go until midnight again and for no damn good reason. So, in the world of
NHL.
So we're going to get into the world of the NHL. Scott on YouTube said, great show. By the way, I blame Tom Wilson for that dirty hit in the Winnipeg-Montreal game. And why not start out with a bang? No pun intended there. So last night in game 1 of the that's a diamond quote there from Craig Patrick. Jocks used to give nerds wedgies. Now they give them jobs. That is
What
a
a
diamond
quote.
level quote. That's awesome.
Oh, you can take that to the bank, baby.
Put that on a t-shirt and sell that shit. Let's go.
Yeah,
That can be our
special, of
new
course,
drop.
special. We need a shirt made for that for you, and also, what up, Scott? What up, brother?
So everybody, again, like I said, follow us on Our Nation Sports Show on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And for those people that still are using a MySpace, I don't know. I don't think we have a MySpace. If you're still using MySpace, it might be too late for you because you're probably already using Internet Explorer as well.
Hey, my computer's
So-
still. Hey, I'm currently running on I'm currently running on Windows 2000.
I thought it was Windows 95.
I'm not that old, Steven. Get the hell out of here.
Oh wait,
hey,
that's
it's
wait. I'm sorry, that's Elder Mike.
No. Elder using Windows 95. He's using Windows 8085.
Yes. Anyways,
No,
his
I would
computer's-
imagine Elder to use an old Linux. You know, the computer where it's like, turn on, why? Play this, why? You got to type in the commands. Everybody nowadays, you don't have this, but you've got the little command prompt where you can go and try to do some stuff. You're
Yep.
really tech savvy with a computer.
Elder's
Back in the
currently
day, that's how I used to do it.
Elder's using a typewriter and a carrier pigeon.
Okay.
love you,
Another
Elder.
quick little side note. Typewriter sound, awesome. Love it.
All right, back to the NHL.
So, this is getting a little off the rails.
Anyways,
here.
you were saying
We
about
can't,
the
we can't
NHL.
help it. It's our show. We got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, and you know what? It is what it is. You know, it definitely flows, and it's a lot more natural than you think. But
Yeah.
so with the NHL, last night was Game 1 of the Montreal Canadiens Winnipeg Jets series. We will get to why the Montreal Canadiens are in the second round and not their first round opponent in a little bit. I want to talk about this hit first because I got my thoughts about that other team. So last night, it's the end of the game. Winnipeg has an empty net. They're down 4-3 to Montreal. Jake Evans, with the empty net, has a wraparound. He goes and scores, but Mark Schieffel flew in full force, lifted off of his feet, shoulder into the head of Jake Evans. Evans is down and out, unconscious. Like the way that he fell, he was done. He was gone. He was stretched out last night after the hit. Schieffel had a hearing today. It was not an in-person, so that means the maximum suspension would be 5 games. He did look a little, oh God, what did I just do after the hit? He was playing poorly during the game and appeared that, he was venting and taking out frustration. She just decided to take it out in a different way. And I mentioned earlier, Jeremy Lauzon, he had that no-look cross-ice path that instead went to Zizekas of the Islanders, who scored the overtime game-winner goal. Well, you see Jeremy Lauzon smash his stick up against the goal pipes and snap it in two. I mean, take out your frustrations that way. So my thoughts on the hit. Last night looking at it, dirty hit. Today looking at it, not dirty, but not good. I can definitely go and look at that hit and say, yeah, no, that was not a good hit to go and have. But it's not like, there was definitely intent there, but it's not like there was this malicious intent or anything like that. Definitely not a good hit. It was not a good hit at all. I do not blame Tom Wilson for this hit. It's a Frank Schieffel. That's the other thing is it coming from him. It's just a surprise for me. I've never thought of him being the type of guy that won't give a hit like that. I do hope that he does get suspended because I know if he doesn't, the coach of the Montreal Canadiens has already gone and said that they're going to make his life miserable. And I'm sure there's going to be players on the Canadiens who are going to step up if Sheaf is not suspended and take matters in their own hands and police themselves like NHL players do. And honestly, if Sheaf was marked, he's marked for whenever he comes back to play, if he comes back to play. So Ezra, Steven, you guys have any thoughts about the hit?
It's to me, you know, whether it was malicious or whether it was on, it's an uncalled for hit. I mean, you don't need to hit a person with your shoulder that hard. He went 200 feet from one end of the ice to the other. Why do you need to go full speed and hit somebody like that? You don't. I mean,
No.
It was intent, yes. Was it malicious? That's up for debate. I don't think it was malicious, but you have to slow down. He didn't. He came full force at him and checked him with the shoulder. These people are saying online, oh, it's shoulder to shoulder. You got it with the shoulder. Dude, that was right near the head. That was right near the base of the neck. That was not a shoulder to shoulder play.
Right.
If he does not get suspended for the rest of this series, if not for part of next year too, there's got to be issues. And it's not just issues with the fact that you know he didn't get suspended between him being marked by the Canadiens.
Speaking of, just came across the wire news. Load up, please. Thank you very much.
Breaking
pretty
news.
much. Breaking news. Sheafel suspended 4 games for hit on Evans.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's more to come. He would be eligible. It was only game 1 last night, but he would be eligible to return in game 6 if necessary.
Listen, the hit in the NHL when you're playing hockey, especially professional hockey, you have to know in every situation when you are battling on the ice against your opponents, when you're going at full speed ahead against a guy, you need to be alert of your surroundings. Oh, like people were saying, shoulder to shoulder. Bullshit. That was not shoulder to shoulder. When you were, was it malicious? And that's up for debate. I mean, okay, whatever. But at the same time, if it was malicious or not, you have to be aware of what you are doing and how you are aiming. If you aim the wrong way, there could be a critical injury to that player. That's why that guy that got hit a few weeks ago that got taken off the ice and stretchered out, that did not look good.
No.
It was an accident, but at least it was an accident. But things like this happen in hockey. It's a dangerous sport. And it's very dangerous. I mean, I'll say that again. It's dangerous. And I'm glad the guy got suspended because he got what he deserved. You know, when you're hitting a player like that at that speed with that velocity, you deserve any repercussions that you face.
Oh, absolutely.
And then one thing I want to say before you jump in is it's not just if they didn't suspend him, it would have not just been an issue of him being marked. It would have been a player's health issue, because if the Players' Health Association didn't suspend him, that is a bad look upon not only that but the entire NHL on why they didn't suspend him for a hit like that. That just means that that gives an excuse for other players who do have dirty hits as part of their resume. You know, the former guys, like if a Javi Torres was around still today playing in major games like this, who's notorious for dirty hitting. If let's say Sheafel didn't get suspended, then he could do it. Then he'd be like, oh, I could do it too, and I don't get in trouble. That's not an example you want to set for any player coming in or any player that's currently in the National Hockey League. But I'm glad they did suspend him. I'm glad he is getting some sort of punishment. Do I wish it was a little bit longer? Maybe, yeah, because I think the punishment does fit the crime. I think personally he should have been suspended for 10 games. That's just my opinion.
So the only reason that he was suspended for the 4 is because it was just a phone hearing. If he was offered an in-person hearing, then it would have opened up the possibility of 10 games. or possibly longer, depending upon the hit. Needless to say, we hope Jake Evans makes a speedy recovery and is able to come back to playing at some point in playoffs. And brings me into my next little item about the NHL playoffs. We're into the swing of things for the second round. First intermission between the Bruins and Islanders. So they have Carolina Hurricanes at the Tampa Bay Lightning game playing on NBC Sports. Carolina is currently down in the series 2-0. Colorado last night played Vegas. Colorado was up 2-0. They are going to be playing in Vegas over the weekend. The way I look at it going into the second round, it really seems like we're gearing up Colorado, Tampa Bay, and Colorado winning the Stanley Cup, which would be their third.
Interesting.
And their first since Ray Bourque was traded from the Boston Bruins in 2001, over to Colorado, and he won in his final game. With that said, the NHL, anything is possible. I mean, I'm sure there were a ton of people that booked Lakers Nets as the NBA Finals this year. And if you go by who the number ones are, it's more than likely going to be the number one out west is Utah, and the number one in the east is Philadelphia. Just go with the
but at the same time, we could sit here and look at these numbers like that. I mean, in the NBA this season, I mean, there is no team, that is, I mean, Utah might be the number one seed in the Western Conference, and they're a really good team. But that Western Conference is so wide open. And even if Philadelphia is the top seed in the Eastern Conference, I still, like I said, do not trust Philadelphia now that
Embiid's hurt again.
Yeah, exactly. He's hurt again. This great player, but he's always injured. And I mean, Brooklyn would be my guess to make it out of the East, but at the same time, Milwaukee is a good team as well. Milwaukee or Brooklyn, to me, is making it out of the Eastern Conference and going to the NBA Finals this year.
Oh, most definitely.
But to pick it back to the NHL, anybody in the rest of this playoffs can make a run. Anybody. There is nobody, that is limited on who can make the Stanley Cup. Because as we all know, 2 years ago, St. Louis, the number 8 seed, won the Stanley Cup.
The LA Kings were an 8 seed in 2012, and they won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
The Bruins in 2013, they weren't a top seed, but they rode emotional highs from not only that being a few months removed from the Boston Marathon bombing, but just the emotional high of just playing well at the right time while other teams are getting bad injuries and bad puck luck. Looking at the series currently, obviously Bruins and Islanders playing now, but they're tied up at 1-1. Tampa Bay leads Carolina 2-0. Colorado leads Vegas 2-0. Montreal leads Winnipeg 1-0. And the interesting thing as I search for the NHL standings from this past season.
But I'll ask this question while you look this up. Who do you guys think has the best chance in the remainder of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the NHL? Who has the best chance to come back from their deficit? I think Las Vegas has a good chance at making a comeback.
That's a very, very interesting thing. I'm not sure. I mean, that Colorado team who's stacked, like, honestly, Colorado Vegas, as much as it's a second round matchup this year, that also could be a Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the money series. And if you're looking at another money series, probably it ends up being this way. Bruins Lightning. That would be another money series. Oh, excuse me. When it comes to the playoffs. So now that I got the standings open, I'll go and mention the Montreal Canadiens. They finished this season 24, 21, and 11. 59 points was their total. That doesn't get you into the playoffs in any other division. It doesn't. The North Division this season, which was all the Canadian teams playing together, is really not all that good. They played the Toronto Maple Leafs, won the division, the Scotia North Division, and they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs when the Maple Leafs were up 3-1. And Montreal stormed back in the series to go and take it in Game 7. So this now leads to, I'm going to go and put on my hardcore. And we're going to go on the accent, my hardcore Bruins fandom. Oh, Toronto sucks so bad, and it's awesome. They haven't been able to get out of the first round since 2004. They haven't won the Stanley Cup since, I want to say, 55 years? That's 67. 66, 67. That's the last time they won the Stanley Cup. Okay? My parents weren't alive before then. The Stanley Cup drought of the Toronto Maple Leafs is longer than my parents. Seeing the Chief will hit again. They now have the longest. They've finally surpassed the New York Rangers for having the longest Stanley Cup drought in NHL history. It's amazing. I love it. Again, I bring it back to 2013, and I think the emotional high from that first round series against Toronto, where the Bruins are down 4-1, 10 minutes to go in the third period, Nathan Horton scores, and then Milan Lucic scores with about a minute and a half, and then about a little under a minute to go, and Patrice Bergeron scores, and then Bergeron scores the overtime winner about 6.5 minutes in. I still remember very, very clearly working that night, shutting the game off. So I'm like, I'm not doing this. I can't listen to the Bruins do this poorly. And then coming back after they tied it up and going, oh my God, they tied this game up. Should I even turn this on? No, it's overtime. I have to turn this on. I have to go and listen to this. And then when they go and score the game winner, jumping up and down in the break room that I was cleaning, hitting my head on a pipe that was in the break room, screaming, hooting, hollering, swearing. I was having such a great old time. My boss walked in like, well, wow. I'm like, the Bruins came back and won the game. They came back and won the game. She gave me like a 5-10 minute breather to calm down and cool off before I finished working that night. But the emotional high from that, sometimes that stuff can happen. Maybe there's something brewing up in Montreal. Maybe Montreal is going to end up being that sleeper team, like an LA Kings or a St. Louis Blues, and all of a sudden wouldn't it be awesome if it was the Boston Bruins versus the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final this year? Oh my God. Oh boy, I think there might be some pants tense going on for some hockey fans like myself. Just hearing that type of Stanley Cup final. Oh my God, I need that in my veins. I need that like now. Well, you guys, does that excite you guys, or are you not a crazy hockey fan like me?
I am a hockey fan for sure.
Oh, you
should have
awesome.
seen me. You should have seen me when the Chicago Blackhawks won that Stanley Cup first time, or in 2010 with that famous that stuck in the net goal against the Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my dad, God rest his soul. We were jumping up and down, going nuts because we couldn't believe it. We first were like, "Where did the puck go? Where did the puck go? Where are they celebrating? What the hell's going on?" And we're like, "Yeah, they did it." And it was one of the coolest moments ever. And, being a hockey fan, being a sports fan like that, you see those moments. I did the same thing, even though I'm a White Sox fan. When the Cubs won the World Series 2016, I was elated because A, my father got to see a Cubs World Series in his lifetime, and B, also freaking I got to see one in my lifetime, and also the city of Chicago finally got a championship since the White Sox won one in 2005 and over 100 years since the Cubs last won one.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have moments like that, like you have your teams winning championships, or Steven, whether it be the teams you root for, or even your college teams winning championships, it's all about the love of the sport. And I am a crazy hockey fan like you. I get excited over this shit. I remember the 2013 Stanley Cup when we won it. I threw my phone and almost cracked the screen because I was so happy.
I remember listening to that game and no offense to the Blackhawks feed, and they were like, "Score! The game is tied! The game is tied!" And next thing you know, 17 seconds later, score! The game is over! The Blackcaps have won the Stanley Cup! I'm like, oh my God, like this is insane. This is why you can't beat playoff hockey. It's the best. It's the best.
On the other end, because you were listening to the Blackhawks feed of that game, I was listening to the Bruins feed. And you can hear it was Dave Gosher, play-by-play, who's now currently play-by-play of the Vegas Golden Knights on radio out there, and Bob Beers. And you can hear Dave Gosher, and score. Chicago Blackhawks have now tied the game up. And then I'm like going, crap. Well, hey, I'm getting out of work in like 20 minutes. If this score holds, if the tie holds, I'll actually be able to go and watch some hockey. And then a minute later, I'm walking out of the IT department after cleaning it. And they scored again. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, oh my God, there's like a minute left, guys. Let's go. And just standing at my bathroom cart, just staring while leaning on it, just waiting for the game to be over. The boss walks up, just like, yeah, what's got you down all of a sudden? I'm like, we had a 1-goal lead. Then in a span of 2 minutes, we lost. And then the final horn sounded. I'm like, and now it's official. The Boston Bruins lost the Stanley Cup to Chicago Blackhawks in Game 6.
Yeah, but same way I felt on multiple Bulls games, series against Miami. Same way I felt that same disappointment. I felt the same way. Best one was one of my favorite ones, and I know we're kind of getting off topic anyways because I think we've pretty much finished up everything that we have so far already.
There's a couple of items I want to get to, but they're going to be very, very quick items. So,
okay.
Keep going, Ezra. Keep going.
No, I was going to say is that one of my favorite things was I was in 2013. This was during the Eastern Conference playoffs. It was the Brooklyn Nets versus the Chicago Bulls. And this is that This is I believe it was 2013. This is when D Rose was still with the team.
And Nate Robinson was on Chicago as well.
That was
Derek Rose is still with Chicago.
Yeah, and this was that famous. Yep. This was the famous triple overtime game.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
With Nate Robinson leading the team to victory, dude. In that game, because I was in Chicago with my sister, we were walking around the city checking out the sites, and the ABC 7 studios in Chicago, where ABC 7 News is hosted, right down the street from it, about 2 buildings down, is ESPN 1000. So I'm walking down the street. We get done being past State Street Studios, where ABC 7 is. We're walking down there, and I hear the game. My sister still wants to go walk around because we still got a little bit of time left till the train. I'm like, no, I want to stand here and listen to the game. So I'm standing there for literally an hour listening to the last listening to it go into double overtime and then into triple overtime. I still remember that, just cheering my ass off. And there's like 5-6 of us all gathered around ESPN 1000 studios and listening to the game as it goes down.
Man, that was one of the best basketball games ever. I mean, and just like, to transition back to the NBA for a second, I mean, Tuesday night was one of the best basketball games of this year's playoffs with the Blazers and the Nuggets with their game. Damian Lillard, my freaking God, that guy is a beast. 55 points and broke Klay Thompson's playoff record for the most threes in the playoffs with 12. The guy is insane. And I'm telling you, man, if I know a one-man wrecking crew that can wreck some shit in the playoffs, that right there would be Damian Lillard for the Portland Trailblazers. That guy is a monster of a player. He's a talent. And Denver, man, it's like last year, Portland and Denver had that 2020 playoff game. I forget what game it was, like game 3, game 4, something like that. That was a crazy game. And my God, I mean, it's like they seem to have these classic games in the playoffs, and it continues. And who knows what's going to happen with that game? I mean, because Portland now has to win the game on their home floor to get back in with the series.
Yeah,
Kevin,
it's game 6 tonight, and they're down 3-2.
Yep, definitely. Statman, I believe you do have some scores you may want to get to before you get to your pieces of news.
You want to do a score update? Okay.
Why not?
Let's do a score update.
Why
Let's
not,
do a score
man?
update.
Why not?
All right, let me go and load them all up. So the one that I will go and start with, because it just came back on about 20 seconds into – the Islanders came out hot there. 20 seconds into the second period, the Boston Bruins have a 1-0 lead. Again, series tied in the second-round matchup, 1 apiece. The other game going on in the NHL tonight, Hurricanes and Lightning currently knotted up at 0 still. 5:33 to go in the first period. Just for the record, tomorrow night, the Montreal Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets will go and fight. Go and look at 7:30 tomorrow night, and at 10 tomorrow night, the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas at 10 p.m. on NBC Sports Network. The Canadiens Jets game is on USA. And for those watching, NBC Sports Network is carrying the Bruins Islanders, and Hurricanes Lightning is on USA. In the NBA, we got one game going on, like we mentioned earlier. It is currently Portland leading 28-27 with 2:43 to go in the first quarter. 10:30 tonight, the LA Lakers at home against the Phoenix Suns with the season on the line tonight. An elimination game. Phoenix leading the series 3-2. Tomorrow night, Friday, 9 p.m., the Los Angeles Clippers go into Dallas to play the Mavericks. Another elimination game. Portland-Denver's game tonight is also an elimination game. Move over into the wonderful world of Major League Baseball, where I will go and say my quick little note right now is that the All-Star Ballot has finally been released. Phase 1 of the All-Star Ballot. This is when you get to go and pick your favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
You can vote up to 5 times every 24 hours or search by player name on Google. Then on June 28th, from those that have made it into phase 2, from this phase 1 voting phase, you get to pick the starters. So with that out of the way, and now the baseball news, because it's other than, having a you know what, I'm going to add one more because I forgot that this is actually pretty fun home run race currently. So we'll go and do that after the score update, and then our little NFL note. I think we might be able to wrap it. Holy moly. So games have gone final. The Atlanta Braves beat the Washington Nationals 5-1. The Yankees in the Bronx leading into a series with the Boston Red Sox this coming weekend. But the barn doors beaten off their walls 9-2 by the Tampa Bay Rays. Would love to go and see the box score of that. In fact, we're going to open that puppy up because I love looking at Yankee suffering. Let's see.
Or as Scott
Did
Wetzel,
Garrett-
or as Scott Wetzel on Mad Dog Sports Radio used to say, the Stankies.
Apparently, yeah, those Yankees. So Aaron Judge was the DH today. 1 hit. Gary Sanchez apparently did not start today, which is probably good news for Yankees fans. They still lost one way. Garrett Cole in the loss pitched 5 innings. He allowed 5 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned with 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and 1 home run to Austin Meadows. So, in the more words of David Ortiz, Yankees lose. I just love when the Yankees lose and the Red Sox win because that's what happened today. Okay, the Red Sox won 5-1. The Colorado Rockies won today against the Texas Rangers 11-6. The games that are currently going on, the Miami Marlins and Pittsburgh Pirates are tied in the top of the 6th at 1 apiece. Milwaukee Brewers are leading the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-0 in the top of the 4th. Bottom of the 2nd, Twins and Royals tied at 1. Top of the 2nd, White Sox leading 1-0 over the Detroit Tigers, who just recently swept the New York Yankees. Just want to throw that out there.
How does this all circle back to the
Rolling,
Yankees?
Keep the Yankee hate rolling. Ride. And in the bottom of the 1st, the Cincinnati Reds are leading the St. Louis Cardinals by a score of 1-0. 3 games are going to follow later tonight. Seattle Mariners, the Anaheim Angels. Play, I keep wanting to say fight, and it's really play a game. Fight is reserved for pro wrestling, boxing, UFC, all that. I don't know why. Mariners and Angels play at 9:38 tonight. Cubs at the Giants at 9:45, and the Mets and Padres at 10:10. That's a pretty big game going on. So, quick MLB note.
You
wanted
hate,
to talk,
you
Ezra?
hate the Yankees as much as the state of New York hates Andrew Cuomo.
This is true. This is true.
Yes. Or you know what? I hate the Yankees as much as when John hated when we were right about Cam Newton going to the Giants.
Yes.
That joke never
Notice
gets
how
old.
I said when we were right. And I'm hoping a certain somebody is listening currently or is going to listen and watch later.
Yeah, by the way,
Let's
Cam Newton trade still being talked about. Okay, let's move forward.
Pending a physical.
All right. So we've got a little bit of a home run race going on in Major League Baseball. We have Ronald Acuna Jr. and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. tied at 17. Coming in at number 3 in a tie with Fernando Tatis Jr. is Adolis Garcia of the Texas Rangers. They're both tied at 16. Shohei Ohtani, 15 home runs. And then to round off the top 10, all tied at 14, as long as, all 5. Javier Baez, Rafael Devers, Mitch Haniger, Austin Meadows, Yankee killer, and Matt Olson. That's your top 10. Now, obviously, Matt Olson and Austin Meadows, Mitch Haniger, Javi, Rafi, 2 scoops. They're not going to be in the home run chase for the entire season. I certainly don't envision them staying this hot when it comes to home runs, but it's a very interesting top 5 with Ronald Acuna Jr., who is just a lights out player. He's one of my favorite players right now. He's making me enjoy watching Braves games. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I loved watching his father play. I thought his dad was a fantastic player, and it looks like Junior is just as good, just as advertised. Adolis Garcia is a bit of a surprise for me, but I'm all for it. I want to go and see a dark horse in the home run race. And Tatis Jr., Shohei Ohtani, those are names you knew were going to be up there. I mean, how many times can you go and say in a regular season that the guy's in the top 5 in home runs for the year and also can go and throw 100? I mean, how many people can you go and say that about? Only one right now. That's Shohei Ohtani. So yeah, that's the baseball note, is that this is shaping up to be a nice little home run contest. And I hope none of these guys want to go and do the home run derby at the All-Star game, because everybody knows the curse with that home run derby. Once the players go and do it, they suck. So now, moving on away from MLB, our one NFL note, unless Ezra and Steven have anything they want to add about baseball or anything they want to add about the NFL. Baseball? Anybody? Anything?
Not really. I
Bueller?
think we pretty much covered everything at this point with the baseball world.
Okay. I mean, there's going to be weeks where we're all for baseball and, oh my God, this is great. But it is a 6-month season. It's a long slog. It's June 3rd. You're starting to see where teams are going to end up. So hopefully, as the season goes on, we'll have a little bit more to go and talk about. In the NFL, the one item I want to go and bring up and discuss about, Julio Jones and the Atlanta Falcons and trading him, since he's expressed that he wants to be traded. And the Atlanta Falcons, having a cap space number this year of $337,000, are in desperate need to go and move that money. Julio Jones is due, I believe, the money. Let's see what his cap is. Give me 1 second. Try not to have any too much dead air. Nobody likes dead air. So this year, his base salary is $15.3 million, $5 million signing bonus, and a $2.75 million option. His cap hit is $23.05 million. And he would have a dead cap, if he would just cut, of $40 million. That is an absurd amount of money that is dead against the cap. So the only option the Falcons have is to go and trade him.
Yeah.
So the Ravens, to Ezra or Steven, I forget which one of you said in the pre-show, the Ravens are out, apparently.
Yes. Yeah, that's according to
Ezra said it.
Yeah, that was coming to a report from ESPN. One of the big NFL writers, I believe her first name is Kimberly. She announced that the Ravens are out of contention for Julio Jones. They say, however, the landing spot that everybody's saying that he'll end up in will be the Tennessee Titans.
Yep, they see a lot of pundits seem to go and put him. They seem to go and put him in Tennessee, playing in Nashville. But there's also still a contingent that puts him in Foxborough and has him playing with Bill Belichick. And Patriots, he's expressed interest in wanting to play with Cam Newton. So if Patriots have one leg up on that. The only thing that could go and stop that is the potential of maybe Cam Newton doesn't or won't be the starter, and not because he'll get traded to the Giants. Obviously, that's just a massive joke between us, but more because Cam is shown to be ineffective. Now that there's weapons around him this year, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him because last year he played poorly. He had all the COVID stuff, lack of an off season because of COVID. So we'll go and see how it goes with Cam. I do have high hopes and hope that Cam does go and play. Obviously, as a Patriots fan, I'd love to go and have Julio Jones on the Patriots. Wouldn't. But we'll see.
But I'll ask you guys this about Jones. As far as we're like, there's all these reports so far that have came out. Where do you guys think that he deserves to play? I mean, or as far as putting yourself in his position as a wide receiver, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. The guy's a hell of a talent. He's a hell of a catcher. He knows how to run his routes. He knows how to play the game. He's been playing it for 10 plus years. He was one game away from a Super Bowl. Obviously, they had the lead in the infamous game 28-3. They blew the game, and we know what that story is. And yeah, if I'm Jones, I am considering my options to be at least a Super Bowl contending team. What do you guys think?
Ezra, how about you? Because I've already kind of expressed that you should come to the Patriots with Julio Jones. If you're watching tonight, like, yeah, I know Foxborough is, like 35 minutes away from Boston, but it's not that far of a trip to get to Boston. And honestly, you go to Providence and have a better time anyway.
Yep.
Well, look, you go into Boston, you go into the wrong neighborhood, and you're just like, wait, this isn't what I want, where I wanted to go. I don't want to go here.
Yeah, you could meet his cousin from Boston.
Well, I always bring it back to the meme I saw, my favorite tool, by the way. It's a picture of New York, grid-like streets, with the only outlier being Broadway, going diagonal. And it goes and says, New York, because we want you to get to where you're going. And then it shows a picture of Boston Street view, where all the streets are going this way. You have a one-way street next to a one-way street going the same direction, and you can barely go and get your car down it because, well, hey, whatever. And the caption always reads, Boston, because F you. Boston's a confusing city to go and navigate if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
So I've already made my case. Julio Jones, come to the Patriots. They're going to play with Cam Newton, the greatest coach of all time. Ezra, how about you?
Preferably, I personally would like to see him with the Patriots as well. And the reason is, like you said, he has expressed interest in playing with Cam Newton because he believes that him and Cam Newton can gel together very well. If he believes that, and Bill Belichick does too, you never know. If Cam Newton does become effective, plays better, and due to these new weapons he's going to have around him, is able to throw the ball better, being able to get it downfield in any way possible, it could be an effective thing for the New England Patriots and for Julio Jones. You may never know. This might reinvigorate Julio's career, and I'm not saying his career is dead by any stretch of the imagination. To me, he's one of the elite wide receivers in the entire NFL. The dude's one of the best. He's been for years. It's just that to me, I felt like he got a little stale over there in Atlanta, mainly because Matt Ryan has been playing as well, and also just because the proper team just hasn't been there as far as offensive linemen opening up routes for him and different things like that. It's kind of hard when you don't have those key players in there to help you out. It's like in a basketball game when you don't have those key players on the defensive side to help you open up lanes for you to drive. So
Exactly.
I could definitely see Julio going to New England if the interest is the same as far as him and Cam want to work together and Bill Belichick wanting to coach him.
Yes.
Tennessee, I could see him being there too. You never know. You never know because it depends on who's looking for a wide receiver and who can afford to go to take that dead money against, the cap space. You know what I mean?
And knowing Belichick, he's going to take that chance.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I wanted to bring up something else as far as, coming up in the NBA. I mean, that we talked about it briefly when it comes to the Celtics being beat by Brooklyn in their first round series and Milwaukee winning their series against Miami. Man, that second round series between Brooklyn and Milwaukee is looking really good. That right there might be the money series. We were talking about that in the world of hockey. That might right there in the Eastern Conference might be the money series in the Eastern Conference playoffs for the NBA, because either Milwaukee or Brooklyn, to me, is going to win the championship. If Philadelphia is going to do it, they're going to have to prove it to not only to themselves, but to the rest of the league. Because I don't think the NBA fans around the world, and especially the fans and the sports writers from around the globe, they're going to be taking Philadelphia serious because of their track record in the playoffs. But Ben Simmons as great as a player as the kid is, he doesn't have a fully developed jump shot right now. And I hope that he can develop a clean jump shot in the offseason at some point, because at some point you have to be an all-around player when it comes to being at a guard position. You can't just be good at driving the basket. You got to be able to be good shooting those mid-range jump shots or those three-pointers when they matter the most. Because as we all know, it's a make or miss league. And if you're wide open, you better take your chances while you have it, because you don't know when the opportunity is going to come back to you again. And Brooklyn and Milwaukee, I know Harden was talking about that. They're a great basketball team. We can't wait to match up with them. Well, I tell you what, I know Brooklyn hasn't had a lot of challenges this season when they've been on, but I tell you, Milwaukee, I think, has a really good chance at slowing at least one of the big three down. Because the other night, Kevin Durant had his worst playing game as far as statistic-wise, as far as percentage-wise, but he still scored 24 points. He still got his points, but one of the big three has to struggle. If Milwaukee is going to win this series, they're going to have to keep at least two out of the big three, Harden, Kyrie, or Harden, Durant, Kyrie, whoever, in check, because that is going to be the ultimate victory for the Bucks to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, in my opinion.
Who's left? I think the Bucks probably have the best shot at beating the Nets, beating the Sixers, and going to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Who they face out west, I don't know. There's so many very competitive teams out there, but I do think that the Bucks have the best shot out of the East.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The Bucks had the best shot. It's hard to really call the West, because the West, like you said, it's wild. It's so competitive. It's a wide open field. You could have any team at this point, because every team is playing really well. Despite some that are down right now, a lot of these teams are playing very well, and you could be a toss-up. You never know. We could see the Clippers roar back and go to the NBA Finals. We could see even the Lakers, even LeBron.
Even the Lakers. And, I don't give them much hope for tomorrow, but that's just because of the way things are. But you never know. They could roar back and make it to the finals. You never know. Anything's possible. So anything is possible.
But as far as the Eastern Conference goes, it's pretty simplistic. It's pretty simplistic with Milwaukee making it.
It's Giannis Antetokounmpo's time to shine, because Giannis was the MVP a couple of years ago. They were 2 games away from the NBA Finals against Toronto when Toronto won their series against Milwaukee in 6 games. And Antetokounmpo was really good in that series, but he didn't have any help, and now he has the help.
Absolutely.
So, with that said, does anybody else have anything they want to go and add before we wrap?
You have something, Steven? I'm sorry.
I think that we are good. I think we're good.
Let's
do Ezra.
I was just going to say, let's just do one more final thought, like we always do.
Yeah.
Before we close it out.
First off, Ezra, start with you.
Cool. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. First of all, what a great show. Again, we got into some really cool topics. We got deep into baseball. We got especially deep into hockey and basketball today. Of course, the NBA finals NBA playoffs are looking really good. NHL playoffs are looking really good. Baseball has been super competitive already, and it's been saying a lot of these scores, a lot of these blowout games lately. Just every day, it seems like there's been a 10+ inning game or 10+ scoring game in baseball. It's been a blowout, and it's been absolutely insane.
Look at the Dodgers the other day scoring 13, 14 runs. I'm like, geez Louise, this is insane.
Dude, 11 runs in the first inning.
Yep, 11 runs in first inning, 10 earned for the starting pitcher.
My
Oh yeah.
God.
Ooh.
So they got it was a slaughter, let me tell you. But but outside of that, everybody who's watching, thank you. We appreciate it. Keep doing it, man. We love having you guys on. Everybody be safe and have fun, whatever you're doing. Things are opening back up, especially this month of June. Things are going to get wild and crazy. Baseball's opening back up at stadiums. Football soon will be opening back up in a couple of months. It also, dude, come on. Wrestling's opening back up next month.
Yes.
It's insanity. We got a lot of stuff to do, man. Let's all go enjoy it. Let's rock and roll. Let's grip it.
Exactly. And quick side note when it comes to music, I mean, Eddie Trunk did say it on his show when everything opens back up, the floodgates are gonna open, and boy have they, because everything seems like it's going down. Festivals are being announced, concert tours are finally being announced and across the the landscape of the music industry. And wrestling is finally getting a crowd back in the WWE on July the 16th. How fitting is this? SmackDown was the first show that had the Thunderdome, and how fitting SmackDown will be the very first live WWE show in front of a live crowd. And the UFC has been having sold out pay-per-views the last couple of times, and it looks like we're going to have a third one next week for UFC 263. Man, it is a great time to finally be a sports fan, a music fan, a wrestling fan. Man, life is so good right now. The world is opening up again. Cherish it while we can, because I think when COVID hit last year, we all took it for granted. We were stuck at home. And when the world finally started to open, as it has, man, you start seeing what we had back then before the virus hit. And now I think we're starting to appreciate this stuff now more, because, man, it is going to be a wild, crazy finish to 2021 this year. Whew. So buckle up, buttercups.
All right, Kevin, close it out, brother.
All right, I'll close it out. My final thought tonight is, this world can get crazy at times. This world can go and seem very daunting. Always choose good. That's what I got to go and say. Always choose good. And in the words of Robin Williams, never pick a fight with an ugly person. They've got nothing to lose. So, with that said, for Stephen, for Ezra, and for myself, the rest of us here at Busted Open Nation server, I'd like to go and bid you guys a fond farewell, a good night, safe travels. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week on the flip. Stay hot, folks.